At a time when so many of us feel like our connections with people are distant and conversations surface level, really engaging with each other takes intention. I'm Ashley Gould, the founder of Attend, an everyday luxury home brand with products that set the table for meaningful spaces and gatherings. Our podcast builds on those spaces through dynamic discussions with open-hearted people, with the goal of sparking conversation around your table. In this series, we explore how designed spaces impact our lived experience and day-to-day life. Our aim is to help you understand what makes a space fulfilling and provide a scientific framework along with expert insights to help you create spaces that enhance your well-being. We delve into the entire spectrum of designed spaces, from our brain's relationship with aesthetics to finding the right designers, lighting systems, and objects that support your well-being. Ultimately, we examine how the spaces we inhabit can enrich our ability to be present and connect with others. Join us.
This is episode 3 of our From Brain to Home series with Hudson and Bloum Design. Founded in 2016 by Jennelle Butera and Meghan, Hudson and Bloum Design is a full-service interior design firm specializing in creating tailored, thoughtful spaces that align with their clients' unique lifestyles. The team of highly skilled design experts works closely with each client to ensure their singular vision is realized. By partnering with local artists and businesses, Hudson and Bloum brings a distinctive, personalized touch to every project. Their design voice stands out for its careful balance of functionality and local flair, resulting in spaces that feel both inviting and uniquely reflective of their clients' tastes. With a diverse portfolio that includes everything from mountain retreats to coastal properties, Jennelle and Meghan deeply understand the execution of neuroaesthetics and the value it plays in designing a home.
I always like to start hearing a little bit about where you grew up and what kind of kid you were.
Okay. Well, I grew up outside Philadelphia in Pennsylvania. Back when I was little, it was all kind of farm country. So I played outside all the time with all the neighborhood kids. We were always making forts. We used to get snow. I mean, now there's no snow in Pennsylvania, but when we did get snow, we were just sledding constantly and making forts out of snow, and it was just super fun. I played sports. I also danced. I had a huge family, huge Catholic family. My mom's the oldest of 8. Every weekend was hanging out with all of my cousins. I have probably like 15 cousins.
Are you still in touch with them today?
Yeah, not all of them, because my mom's the oldest. There's about 20 years difference or 18 years between my mom and the youngest. So the cousins that were close with my age, yes, we still talk and kind of check in. And then on my dad's side, we have our cousins that are both Nicole and Stephanie, and we were together all the time as well. And we're all around the same age. It was just super fun. But yeah, I was more of like a tomboy. And, I had my close-knit friends. I was not someone that needed to have a million friends.
Yeah.
It was more of keeping it tight and quality. And so that's kind of how I am even today.
Yeah. Maybe that's why we get along so well.
That's right.
What drew you to interior design and your collaboration with Meghan?
Okay, so Meghan and I met when we were living in New York City. So after college, I went to Penn State, and then we moved to the city. They do a lot of recruiting, like New York companies, and recruit, especially within the Snow College of Business. Mm-hmm. So I moved to New York, and then my husband now, we were dating then. So he moved to New York. He worked for PricewaterhouseCoopers. And then Meghan and I met when we were working at Tommy Hilfiger. And we were, oh my God, I think we were like 23. And we just hit it off. We were just absolutely, we hung out with each other. We had to go merchandise a Macy's out in, I think it was like Long Island. And so the two of us had to drive and we're like, we don't know what we're doing, like what are we doing? And then from there, we just built this friendship. And then fast forward when we started, I moved out here to Park City. She was still in the city. She went into interior design, went back to school, worked for a big design firm in the city. I was still working in fashion. I was traveling back to New York and going to different shows, in LA. And then we got to a point where we just said to each other, like, how do we work together? Like, how do we stop this grind of traveling into the city? So we were given an opportunity with a developer in the colony to design a spec home. And so Meghan would go to work all day and then call me in the evening time. I would be on site taking notes, meeting with the contractors, meeting with the builder, answering questions. And then if there were some questions that I wanted to review with her, we would sit there and review everything together. And then that was the more organic start of our business. And then from there, it was just it's a small town. So I connected with galleries, other builders, and made those connections and relationships. And it slowly built our design firm or boutique design firm to where it is today. It's about 10 years.
It's 10 years. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I actually want to rewind a little bit and hear how you got into fashion and interior design. Like, is that something you talked about when you were young? You liked to play outside and you did dance and other things, but you didn't talk about like an interest in fashion or design. Was that there from a young age?
Yes. So I would actually go thrifting.
Okay.
At a young age. And then once I was 16, I would go into South Philly. I would find these like little thrift stores. South Street was like my favorite. I always was wild with what I wore. I mean, you can ask my mom. She would just wave at me. She'd let me as I'm walking to the bus. And she's like, I have no idea what that outfit is. And she would literally just let me put together anything I wanted to wear. She never told me no. And she'd go, interesting. And I'd come down and I'd be wearing, purple tights with these black shoes that I bought from, probably some consignment shop. And I would also make my own clothes. So I would take denim jeans, cut them, make them into skirts. I would make them into bell bottoms. So I would alter the clothes. And it was just fun. So then my dream was to go into fashion. And that's kind of why I moved to New York. And that's where I kind of built this foundation and this work ethic. Because I think coming out of college and going straight to New York City, you're in with the sharks.
Yeah.
So with interior design, I was already kind of used to materials and fabrics and mixing, but there's a huge business side to interior design. So I was very, very much confident in pulling materials and presenting to clients, to developers. So it was kind of a natural, it came natural to kind of flow the creative side of me to then flow that into interior design.
So did you make that change because fashion wasn't working out or wasn't what you thought it would be, or like how did that happen?
Okay, so because I moved here.
Okay,
and,
interesting.
There wasn't really, I would have to split my time between here and New York.
Which wouldn't really work raising a family.
Right. Yeah. And so by the time I had my son at 30, I quit fashion.
Okay.
Because I didn't want that lifestyle. I wanted to be a present mom.
Yeah, I understand.
I also wanted time to raise my son and not be pulled in all these different directions. So when I had my daughter is when Meghan and I kind of started this business.
Okay. And so you said there's a lot of connectivity between fashion and interior design, which makes a lot of sense to me. How did you study interior design? Did you take courses to sort of shift that? Or maybe you took those in studying for fashion in any case?
Well, okay, so I personally did not go to interior design school. My role within our business was more of the business side in the beginning.
Yeah.
So when Meghan and I first started, it was like, okay, Meghan, you do all the CAD. I will work with the builders. I will set up, our schedule. I will present. So in the beginning, it was very much like 50-50. Here are my strengths. Here are your strengths. I'm physically here. You can, do this technical work from New Jersey, where she was based out or still based out of. So, and then through the process, like anything, going to trade shows and learning as you go.
Yeah.
In the very beginning. And believe me, we had one project.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like we were taking all these projects and couldn't fulfill it. We were 100% focused on this one project, and I kind of was just thrown in there and learned fast.
I think there has to be something, I want to say genetic, but I'm not sure if that's right, or innate, because you're just really good at it. So there must be, and maybe it is the fashion eye.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
I don't think, clearly everybody can't do this.
Right.
I consider myself a creative person. I consider myself somebody who really has a sense of aesthetics, but I can't do what you do. That's why I work with you.
When do you spend the most time with the people you love? For us, it's at home, around the dinner table with family, or sipping cocktails in the living room with friends. So why not make that time even more meaningful by imbuing your gatherings with pieces that not only make connecting easier, but spark conversation around your table? Amaton's collection of small batch, artisan, quality-made pieces for tabletop and home are not only made for simple serving, they're works of art designed for daily use. Whether you're hosting a dinner party or sitting down for family game night, our collections create a sense of presence and peace in every home. Shop our collection of dinnerware, drinkware, serveware, and more at amatond.com. That's AMEATENDRE.com. Gather by Design.
Yeah, and I think, honestly, I don't think taste is taught. I think you could, as a designer working for a big firm, mold your taste to what that firm has done in the past in design, but it's way more complicated and creative when you have different clients with different wants and needs. We're a boutique design firm, not a huge firm. Sometimes I'll say, I'll take on that remodel because it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
So you have to switch your brain a lot within this line of business because you're doing remodels, you're doing new builds. We have East Coast clients that have a completely different taste. It's more transitional or traditional and beautiful, and the scale isn't as grand as the homes out here where, your great room is 20-foot high ceilings and you need 2 sitting spaces within your great room.
Right.
I work all the time and I'm constantly looking for inspiration through travel, through Instagram. I find that inspiration everywhere I go.
And you go to shows as well.
Yes, I go to shows. Meghan goes to shows as well. We went to Field and Supply, which I loved. That show is honestly one of the best shows for those small details.
Yeah.
Those personal touches, like the custom cutting board or a delicious candle that just smells wonderful that, sets your mood for the day.
Right. Well, that's a great segue into talking a little bit specifically about neuroaesthetics. So Professor Anjan Chatterjee who is in episode 1 of this series on neuroaesthetics. His research highlights how aesthetic experiences can influence mental health, positively or negatively. How do you feel like you intentionally design to evoke positive emotional responses and reduce stress for your clients, especially when everybody has a different sort of aesthetic, and maybe that aesthetic is actually subconsciously tied to what does produce positive feelings for that client? But I'm interested in how you guys think about that, and also what your clients say when it's all done.
I mean, everything we do is for our client and to create a positive space for them. Think about how much time you spend in your home. You sleep there, you gather there, you raise your kids there, your dogs, your cats. Like it's your safe space.
Yeah.
Meghan and I, it takes time to get to know our clients. And the reason why, if you go on our website and if you look at our projects, they all are different. And that's intentional. We've talked about how do we kind of streamline this. So it's very much the vibe of who Hudson and Bloom, who we are. But we find that when we interview with clients and we decide to take the projects on, it could be a huge challenge but we honestly want to provide a service that our clients value, but also when they, at the end of the day, after we do our install and we're making their beds and we're zhuzhing all the pillows, I want them to be able to walk into each room and just go, oh my God, I didn't even envision this.
Yeah.
And I think that that's the difference between someone that can honestly do this job and not is, I can't take the image in my brain and, shoot it over to you. Nowadays, you can do renderings that are extremely helpful. It's a tool that we use, but it's all about creating this space for our clients for their lifestyle. It's not about Meghan and I creating art that's just for us. It is not. It's about learning who our clients are and listening and remembering. And I think that that's what it takes to really design thoughtful spaces for our clients. I'm not just telling you, you have to do this. It's like, no, you don't like that? Okay, talk to me. What do you like?
Yeah. Well, tell us a little bit about how you choose your clients. So have you learned over the 10 years, there are some clients where it's just not going to work well? Mm-hmm. And why is that? Have you been right when you're making those decisions so far?
Yeah, I mean, I have to be careful. I'm not going to lie. So in the beginning, obviously, Meghan and I would just kind of almost take anything.
Right, of course.
Right? We're like, we should take this. And then we'd be like, whew, okay, maybe not that again. When you met with me, I think we talked for 2 hours.
Yeah.
We sat down and we talked. And we talked about kids, who we are, what's happening, where are you from? Let me see photos of your existing home. So in the beginning, it was kind of like me pitching myself and Meghan pitching the both of us to this client, but not necessarily asking them a lot of questions. It was kind of like, we'll just take what we can. And now, fast forward 10 years, we absolutely interview them as well. I don't really ask for sometimes we'll ask do you have Pinterest boards? Have you ever worked with a designer? I prefer to work with clients that have worked with designers. They understand the process. They understand the cost, because it is a luxury service and it's not for everyone. We will kind of go through some questions with them. Honestly, for me, it's do I like the builder? Do I like the architect? Who is the team? Okay, this is 3 years invested. Can I see myself working with this couple or this family for 3 years? That, life gets in the way. of some of my clients. They lose a job, their kids are now leaving, going to college, and so there's stressors. That's all part of it. So it changes with clients, how they change their tune. They get exhausted at the end of it, as you know. And I say to clients from the very beginning, you are going to get exhausted. It's okay. I'm not going to force you to do anything. We can always come back to it or never come back to it. But
Right.
just know that I'm not going to sit here and force any of this on you. It's supposed to be fun. And it's also supposed to be, a process that you're willing to kind of put in to create these spaces. And some clients don't want any of the shopping, and with us, they want us just to do it and give them 1, 2, 3.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll ask them, how involved do you want to be?
Mm-hmm.
And then I will assess, okay, they want to be super involved. They're going to want to go shopping. So then I know, okay, I need to allot a time for this client versus if the person says, just give me 1, 2, 3.
Right.
Then I know it's not a ton of time. There's not that much emotion.
Yeah.
But I think it's really like, do I feel like they're good people?
Yeah.
Do I love the team? Is the architect, the builder awesome? Are they great to work with? Have I worked with them? And then the scope of the job. Is this going to keep me busy, but also like, do they want color?
Yeah.
What is their style? And there's certain styles that Meghan is a master at.
Yeah.
And so then Meghan and I will kind of work through it and say, what do you think about this? And then from there, we'll do a follow-up with the clients. Thank you. And, would love to work with you. We've had a couple that we've just said, like, this is not the right fit.
Yeah. Because you've learned that it's not going to be a successful outcome for either party.
We're just not the right fit for them. They wanted it to be much more like a track home, like here's package 1, package 2, package 3, and or their budget isn't there, and it's like, absolutely do not hire us because we're not going to be cheap.
Right. That's not the goal. But it's never based on aesthetics. So like when you're saying there's certain styles you can't do, but Meghan does, maybe aesthetically there's certain things that, talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, no, for sure. It is. So when we'll look at, when we meet with a client and say they've already have another home, and I'll say, hey, do you have photos of your home? Can I see where you live or what your other home looks like? Yeah. 100%. It's about, and sometimes it could be that I want the challenge of something that I have never done before. They're looking at when I interview with them, a lot of times, like, I'll show them some of our projects. Like, for instance, I walked you in one of our projects that we did. So I explain to them that, we really do like to work with local artisans. We like natural materials like marbles and limestones and hardwood. So if you are someone that wants a ton of porcelain, we can do it. It's just we're not probably the best team for that.
Yeah.
We're not your Four Seasons. We're where it's, you have a huge team.
Yeah.
You're really, we're much more into kind of creating unique, bringing out personality. And even I'm constantly searching Instagram. I mean, it's for new artisans or going to trade shows and working with individuals that are in this town or surrounding, towns that make pottery or glassware or, shops where they'll make me a custom tray for an ottoman for a client. Yeah. So it's really about if they're open to being creative. And I also look at their art, to be honest. That tells me a lot.
Interesting. That's so interesting. So one of the other things when you're talking about, there's certain aesthetics that maybe you are more comfortable with or drawn to and others that Meghan is. Can you talk a little bit about the benefits of Meghan being in New York or New Jersey and you being here. I mean, I've seen those benefits personally working with you guys, but I just want to hear your perspective on that.
So Meghan is so close to New York.
Yeah.
So a lot of our preferred vendors are based in New York. So if we need to sit test in a sofa,
Yep.
someone's going to invest a lot of money
Yep.
in a sofa or a chair or, any of the pieces of furniture. So if it's on the showroom floor, it's so nice. She can pop into the city. She can work with those local reps. Also in New York, you have all of these amazing lighting designers and showrooms that we love to source from. So it's great that she is able to also take clients shopping. They come in from, Chicago, California, we have Florida, Connecticut. So it's really nice that we can say to a client, hey, when you're in New York, or if you want to fly into New York, she can take you shopping all day. That is for a client that wants to be extremely involved in the process. Also, new collections come out all the time. So it's so nice to be able to just pop into the city. They'll switch out their showroom. So then they'll show the new collection and our team can go sit test, check it out, check out the new fabrics. We need wall coverings. I mean, there's so many different showrooms that we like to go to that it's very valuable because we just don't have that here in Utah.
No, we definitely don't. And I think you were in New York for a long time, so yeah. You also have a New York sensibility as well. And then for me personally, what's so wonderful working with you here, well, one, I think it's great that we're both here. Mm-hmm. So it's really nice. I know people do like long distance design. For me, it's really nice that you're here in the same town and that we can meet at the project regularly whenever we need to. And little things like as you're going, it's just surprising, like maybe it's not surprising to you, but things don't always end up looking or feeling like they do in either a drawing or rendering once they get built. So being able to pivot real time, I think is extremely important.
Mm-hmm. And being able to kind of give an answer immediately, because as you know, it's like, tell me by tomorrow. Tell me by now. Like, okay. That's why it's so important to basically have the team.
Yeah.
So if I can't be there and the builder and I have a good relationship, I can call them. Hey, take this measurement.
Yeah.
And then I can get the answer. Yeah. Versus if I have to get in the car, drive there, measure it myself. It's just so much easier to have this whole team that is supporting each other.
Totally. And then it also enables you guys to take on projects in different parts of the country and feel like you can still be on site. And I know you guys have done projects like in Mexico or in other completely other geographic spaces, which I think would have its own challenges, but clearly it also works. And I know a lot of people do that.
Yeah, I think that you just have to have that person that's like I said, like a builder or like a site manager.
Yeah.
That will text, email, call.
Yeah.
And so it's always nice to get a heads up, like, hey, heads up.
Yeah.
What's your week like?
Yeah.
I have 10 questions for you that I want to rattle off. And then it's like boom, boom, boom. And then we can give them the answers and they can keep on moving forward because they're scheduling all these subs.
Mm-hmm.
And they have certain windows with each sub. And before they can start with the next sub, right? So to keep it going.
I mean, the project management alone is extremely hard because timelines change all the time. So you have to be very fluid, I would say.
Yes.
And that adds a whole another layer of complexity that I think people don't totally understand.
Right. They don't understand, especially from our perspective. We'll come in, we do a site visit, and you have our drawings. But in reality, it doesn't work. We're off by an inch. We're off by 3 inches. Oh, didn't know that there was a speaker there. Those are the challenges. That's why it's very important to have someone that can visit the project site, or that can, if I say it's out of state, I just need to have someone that I can talk to FaceTime and kind of go over those questions and make those tweaks.
And I think, and you've said this, but I think this is one of the things I've learned in building a house is the team, like the broad team, is so important. So people ask me like, oh, well, who's your builder or who's your architect? And I say, I mean, obviously I love our builder and architect, but I say, I think the most important thing is to have a team that works well together. So obviously, to me, first, I would choose an architect because you have a specific style, and then find a builder and a designer that work well with that architect. But having that like team collaboration is so important, and from start to finish.
It's huge. It's every fine detail. And that's the thing. There's many times where we're in situations where I feel like I'm getting questions as if I'm the builder.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know if you need a cork below that hardwood. If you feel like you do, maybe if it's for great, if you are saying that for soundproofing that you need cork under the hardwood, I would probably just go with the cork, but we don't build homes.
Right.
So, and that's the hard part. Sometimes people will think like, don't you know this? And it's like, I do not.
Right. Right. No. Although you've learned a lot along the way. The other thing I think is really helpful for you being in Park City, and I would say, for people to consider hiring a designer in the location that they're building, is that you understand the weather and how different materials are going to do in this environment. And you actually did talk to us about that before we started. And, we had a great team that we loved working with in San Francisco, where we moved from. But one of the things that really drew me to working with you, other than that I love your aesthetic and everything about you and Meghan, is this sort of locale, like the specifics of the locale, and how wood, like, you have to be careful. I mean, maybe you can talk a little bit about that, but I think people don't think about that probably as much as they should.
Yeah, I think that that's part of the reason why, and just it's about materials, what can withstand especially for your outdoor furniture. People are like, I love teak. And it's like, okay, go ahead. It's gonna crack. And they're like, what about restoration hardware? And it's like, that's fine. If you want to do restoration, do the powder coated aluminum, but your cushions are not going to last.
Yeah.
They're going to get, crusty. They're going to just be faded. They're going to get mold, everything. So there's certain things that, especially in some of these homes, you have to have a full, a humidifier.
Yeah.
Especially if you're going to install, hardwood. And it can be engineered wood or solid hardwood. You need a humidifier. At your home, they have all those humidifiers going during the design process because they're bending wood. They need it, because otherwise it just gets dried and cracked, and your floors will start buckling. But with your furniture, a lot of the clients here, this is their family home, their vacation home, it could be, and they leave and then they come back and their dining room table is all cracked.
Yeah.
And it's because, the humidifier wasn't on. They didn't close their shades. And so we're at high altitude. I mean, if you're in Deer Valley, how high up is that? Like 7,500, 8,000.
Yeah.
The sun is just baking onto your furniture. So it's really important to have window treatments. And, you don't need to have Lutrons everywhere. But if you just invest in a roller shade that's manual, you shut it so that you can kind of protect all of your investment in your furniture. But that's why we also really like to work with local shops here, just because the wood already acclimates to this environment. And then they warranty it as well. But I think that some clients are kind of scared to kind of bring in all these natural elements, but it makes the project feel so much warmer.
Yeah.
Like all the different woods, and and mixing woods, mixing cedar with walnut and oak. It's fine.
Yeah.
It works.
Totally. Okay, another, and this may be somewhat similar to this other concept that I was talking about with Professor Chatterjee, but he talks about this idea of coherence, that people with an architectural eye give greater weight to the interior of a space and the neurological processes they inspire than people without that architectural eye. I also think everyone can get a sense of coherence if they're in the right space. And I think that part of what you do is help people to find that coherence. Do you think about your work that way?
I do. I think about if this was my house.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. Like, I always think, if this was my house, what would I do? And then, but I also have to think about the client. I have to think about, okay, how are they living in this space? But when working with an architect, many times, you know, they're creating this beautiful structure. But and like our team thinks about, but you have to live in this structure.
Right.
Okay? It's not just a structure, just to sit there. It's people are living. And so when we're walking through the plans and thinking through ceiling heights or, you know, the flow of a space, it's like what I asked you, do you cook?
Yeah.
And some people say no. Fine. Then the kitchen is there for resale.
Right.
So I should probably put in Sub-Zero because, you know, if you're going to resell this house that is a higher end build, you know, most people like a Sub-Zero.
Yeah.
It's honestly thinking through all of those details and just the flow of the home. How are they going to live in it? Does it make sense to, you know, is the mudroom, do they want to also have this as a ski prep? It's just every single detail of how they want to live. And for us, it's really taking that structure and making it into a home that's warm, that's inviting, that has the personality of our clients. And can they grow in it? So a lot of clients will say, I don't have grandkids now, but I plan to have grandkids.
Yeah.
And it's like, fine, let's make a space for that time, whether it's 10 years from now, who cares? Let's think about all of that.
Well, I feel like you guys do a very good job at that, and clients praise your ability to combine beauty and practicality. So our kids are teenagers, but we have large families and we want to have them all in our home when it's done, and including very young children. So we talk about, like, where do we use performance fabrics and what is going to last and those sorts of things. So how do you, I guess it's just along the way, you're having these conversations and asking questions to ensure that you're making the right decisions in the right spaces.
Correct. So if it's a high traffic, you know, space, you know, so in a ski prep, so some of our projects are ski in, ski out. It's that, what is the tile? Does it have grip? Is it a scratched, you know, granite? Will it withstand heavy boots just slamming down on it? It's thinking through, again, how they plan to live in this space. And listen, we make mistakes. If, say, for instance, in the great room, we chose a fabric like a nubbly boucle and their kid decides that they want to write their name on it, like, maybe we shouldn't have done, you know, an ivory boucle in there. And that's, you know, that's a mistake. But it's also like, if you have animals, you know, making sure that the sofa fabric is maybe not a light color and maybe it is a performance fabric.
Right.
And kind of picking and choosing where clients want to spend the money.
Yeah.
You know, and thinking through where they can save the money in guest rooms. And there's so many different, picking highs and lows for our clients. So, because a lot of times the performance fabrics and those pieces do cost more money. And so it's just being mindful about, okay, maybe we're not going to place this super expensive wall-to-wall carpet in a bunk room.
Right.
So, yep, like we just have to kind of think through each space. And form and function, I mean, the whole point of hiring an interior designer is to make it beautiful and functional. And it can happen.
But I don't think all interior designers feel that way. I think some are more focused on the beauty than the function. And so I really appreciate that you focus on both. And we've sort of talked about this, but the other thing that and the designers we worked with in the past were like this as well, but I don't think all designers are, is like your goal is to bring my vision to life, not your vision.
Correct.
And I mean, you have to
collaboration.
For sure. You have to be interested in my vision for it to work. But then also I have this idea or this maybe almost a feeling in my head, but you make it a reality. And so research shows that colors significantly affect mood and cognition. So I'm interested in how you pick color palettes. Like you've been doing that a lot for our house right now. But a lot of people don't like color. And I think part of what I love about you and Meghan is that you push us also. I mean, we happen to like color, and that's one of the main reasons we found you, is that you also like color, although you do more muted projects as well. Can you talk a little bit about how you choose color palettes and then also how you push your clients a little bit, maybe beyond where their current comfort zone is?
Yeah, it's not like something that we come up with in the beginning.
Right.
It's like an evolution as we get to know the client. So a project in Victory Ranch, we looked at their art, and they had such beautiful art. They had these like beautiful Buddha sculptures, and it kind of set the tone for the home, for at least for Meghan and I to kind of, okay, how do we incorporate these sculptures? And then it kind of slowly, I would look at their art and I'd say, this would look great at your breakfast nook. Then that determined the leather and the fabric used on the banquette. And that determined the color of the dome light that we chose there. It slowly kind of takes you into their palette. And then really I ask clients, what colors do you love? What colors don't you love? And just kind of understanding, okay, they don't like yellow. Okay, that's fine. No big deal. And allowing it to kind of flow throughout the house. It's not just like, this is just one color in here and then an accent wall there. I don't do accent walls. But it's more of like, okay, so we have this color of an aubergine in the powder room, but then we also have aubergine in the pillows. And then downstairs you go down and there's an aubergine ottoman. And so when you're walking through the house, there's this connection and a palette that makes sense. And obviously, I mean, you can get more playful with kids' rooms. And if they want like a neon green, it's fine, it's fun. But we try really hard to kind of create this connection and flow of colors that pair well together.
And sometimes are you pushing people?
Yes.
Talk a little bit about that.
There's certain clients you can push. I'm just going to be very upfront with you, that are open.
Yeah.
They know that they're busy. They have their own careers. They're doing their own thing. They hired us for that. And then you have clients that are very much, they want what they want and will not deviate. And I don't push that.
Yeah.
I don't. I'm like, it's your home.
Yeah.
But there's ways to bring in color. So if someone wants a black, white, and gray home, like bring it in with the art.
Mm-hmm.
Bring it in with a coffee table book, bring it in with plants to know the client, and then I will decide if I can push them.
And not just on color, but even just on
Everything.
design,
Everything.
Yeah.
I could say, hey, I know you want to use your existing chair.
Yeah.
Can we reupholster it?
Yeah.
And it's like, maybe, it's like, no, you have to, because sometimes you just have to be very blunt. Like, it does not speak the same language of your new home now.
Yeah.
I understand. Let's just bring it to life in a different way, but you still have it. It's an heirloom and it's special to you, which I want to incorporate.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think that you've done this a lot with us we like color, but still I think you've pushed us. And not just color, but like design, like some of the rugs that we're doing and, just all different things, lighting, and I think that those things really in the end.
Yes, they become art.
Yeah.
They become art, and you know what it's like. When you walk into like a cool, I just feel like hotels, they do a great job. Like if you just go and any of the hotels, and obviously they're a bit higher end hotels, but they're so inspirational. It's like eye candy. Like you're like, look at those lights, look at that wall paneling. Is that wall paneling or is that cork? You're constantly looking at every little detail, or not everyone, but I do. And I think that if you are open, and obviously if you have a budget, it's for Meghan and I, it's so fun to be extremely creative and to say, like, let's not put that sconce right next to the mirror that you always see. Let's put it on the sidewall because it's like this piece of jewelry. It has like, the chain detail. And so it's like, it's so much more fun to just be able to kind of always think outside the box and always looking for new ideas. I mean, it's like with fashion, you find inspiration and you tweak it.
Yeah.
That's just what happens a lot of times in interior design. It's like, oh, I saw that concept and now I'm going to tweak it to work for this project.
Yeah, or even something you did in the last project, you don't want to do the same thing. And that's something that I love. Sometimes you see certain designers and it feels like it's all the same.
It is. And that's why Meghan and I are more of like a boutique hotel, because it's not going to be the same. I mean, of course we'll use like the same chair, but then in a different fabric here.
And it looks totally different.
And most people wouldn't even know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So many of your projects feature natural elements. Mm-hmm. Some are near mountaintops, others are coastal. How do you approach incorporating biophilia to enhance the well-being of homeowners? Neuroaesthetics highlights the role of light in regulating mood and circadian rhythms. And also there's research that shows that green and natural elements also enhance mood and well-being. So how do you prioritize the use of natural light? It's easier in the mountains, but in urban or more constrained environments.
It's hard because, unless you're going to cut a wall or cut into your roof and put in a skylight, it's hard to kind of bring in that natural light. So if it's an existing building, I think and you can't bring in that natural light, then it is so important to have layers of lighting within your space. So you have overhead lighting, which is task lighting, if you want to make it bright so you can see, great, but have everything on dimmers. And then layer it with lamps and sconces to kind of create mood. And that affects, like when you first wake up, like I do not want to be in a bright room right away. Right. I want to turn on my lamp and have it be soft. If someone turns on the overhead lights, I'm like, what are you doing? Like, I feel like I'm in surgery. I'm like, and so I think in those cases, if you can't bring in the natural light, then do it in layers of lighting within your home. In terms of bringing in plants, if it's your primary home, absolutely.
Yeah.
Bring in plants. It's hard here in Utah. I'm not going to lie. If you go to the local nursery, it's a repeat of the same plants.
Right.
Because it's arid.
Yeah.
And it's hard to take care of them. But if you take the time, I mean, there's all these apps now that can teach you how to take care of the plants that you have in your home. I love plants. I love how it brings life.
Mm-hmm.
It's bringing the outdoors to the indoors.
Mm-hmm.
It can fill, you know how sometimes you're in your space and you're like, there's this like weird void. And I don't know what to do with it. It's in my bedroom. It's like the corner. I just feel like it's empty. It's like, put a plant. Maybe there's like pedestals. You can bring them up. But you can have fun with the plants and even larger spaces. Go big. Bring in like a huge, indoor tree if you can. And if you can't, then go to, Trader Joe's. They have wonderful greenery and flowers. You can bring in branches. But it's also like your hard materials. Like I said in the beginning, I love bringing in natural. Bring in hardwood. Bring in marble, limestone, travertine. Bring in the earth into your home.
Yes.
It just makes it feel so much warmer and inviting. I understand there's upkeep. Nothing is going to be bulletproof.
Right.
They have all these sealants now that you can seal it and it can be as durable as granite. It's an investment, but that's out there now.
Yeah.
I just feel like it's okay if it's not perfect.
It's like you go to Italy, you go and you have a coffee and it's like that marble has been there forever. And it's like, it's got stains and it's got history.
Yes.
So you just have to look at it as a positive instead of a negative.
Yeah, and if there's ways, if you have to have it buffed out, it's fine.
Yeah.
You can have it buffed out and you can have it resealed, and hardwood, you can have that refinished if you have, heavy traffic and dogs that have scratched it up. I know it's a headache, but, things just wear over time and it can't stay perfect.
So you talked earlier about working both with local artisans, but also going to like Field and Supply and other wonderful shows to find special objects. How do you think these small details that you incorporate into your work contribute to the neuroaesthetic experience of your designs?
Well, so think about this. Like, when you put on an outfit and it could just be like, okay, here's my jeans, here's my t-shirt. And that's kind of like the first layer. And then, but it's also like, okay, small detail. Are you wearing a necklace? Do you have, funky socks on? And that's what makes it unique and interesting. So you can put in your home, you can have your sofa and, a rug and your chairs, but it's like, oh my God, look at that. Look at on the coffee table, there's like this brass inlay. Like that's so beautiful.
Yeah.
It just honestly elevates your space and it makes it unique. And your throw pillows are like the softest pillows, and you sit down and you just want them on you. It brings you that warmth.
Yeah.
It gives you that comfort.
Yeah.
It's tactile. And I think that those details matter. Thinking through, this is where we're going to sit down. We're going to have movie night as a family. I want comfy, cozy. I want it to feel so yummy. The small details. What kind of throw blanket do you have? And I just think that when you're accessorizing at the end, it's those last details that brings it together.
Yeah.
Like family photos. A photo, what are the frames? Are they just a mishmash, or did we think through the frame? And, are they black and white? And just all of that. It creates a mood.
Yeah, definitely. What have I not asked you that you would like to share about Hudson and Bloom, about the way that you and Meghan think about neuroaesthetics in design?
I think it's not subconscious. It's always at the forefront of our process. Because at the end of the day, we are bringing beauty into your life. But it's not beautiful to everyone. It's
Right.
beautiful to that client. And that's what makes it so interesting. And if they love it, then I'm like, yeah, I love it too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Looks good.
I don't think I shared this with you, but Professor Chatterjee was talking about how they're coming up with these VR. So imagine you'll be able to use VR in your practice and show them like, this is what this color of this room looks like in the sequoia kind of brownish that we're doing in one room, or the peignoir kind of purpley lavender, which are colors that a lot of people probably would be scared of. But if they could see it in virtual reality, maybe they'll get more, you know.
And that's why renderings are so strong now. Because if we're trying to maybe push our client, like, please, you need this. And they're like, what? And then you basically show them a rendering, like, this is your dining room.
Yeah.
This is your bedroom. Like, if we could just paint it this color green, it's going to kind of transform the space.
And if you could do the VR, show the color, and measure what's happening, like with their pulses or like whatever that is, which is, I think, coming. So you could see, like, that would be amazing.
I think that's part of it too, is like being open to new technology, new concepts, and staying current.
Totally.
You have to stay current.
Well, I think that's a great place to wrap our discussion of Hudson and Bloum. Remind people where they can find you.
It's hudsonandbloomdesign.com. I have a new office space in the Iron Horse district of Park City.
And you're just Hudson and Bloum on Instagram?
Yes.
Okay, amazing. So at the end of every episode, I like to ask guests 5 questions.
Okay.
So the first question is, as we explore in my brand, Amatand, objects can hold a lot of meaning for us. They can tie us to the past, enable us to enjoy the present moment more, and even take us into the future. Can you share an object from your life, whether you still have it or not, that holds a lot of meaning for you, and tell us why?
Yes, I'm wearing them.
Oh.
This is we call her Puka. It's my grandmother.
Okay.
She's a big part of my life. I named my daughter after her, Stella. Puka is 96 years old. She lives on outside Philadelphia. She's still kicking it. She's wild. Still drives, gets her nails done, wears false eyelashes. She's a force. I wear her jewelry every day. I love her. And she honestly was at every dance rehearsal. She'd make us waffles. It was just all of these memories, and I just love her.
Can you share a favorite tradition with us? It could be something from when you were a child, something you do with your children or family today, anything in between.
I think growing up, it's just really, because we had this big family, I mean, it was just really the Christmas dinners. So on that side, my Puka side, we had a lot of Italian influence. My grandfather was from Sicily. He's kind of a gangster. I'm not going to lie. I'm like, who's that? Like, Louis. A lot of Louis, Vinny, Johnny, Tommy. So we grew up just having the best time. They had this huge property, but I mean, just meals, but Christmas was huge. Every time we would get presents for my grandfather, he'd be like, who gave me this? This is junk. And we'd be like laughing. It was just so inappropriate. But it was like a TV show. But it was fun. And then, so tradition, I think, were just those big family parties for Thanksgiving. My mom would host like 45 people. The turkey, they put in at 5 a.m. My dad is a really fantastic cook. So he would sit there and prep the bird 5 o'clock in the morning, and there's just people everywhere in my parents' house. But it was so fun.
Yeah.
It was like chaos.
Yeah.
And my kids don't have that because I moved away from it, and I'm sad by that. But I mean, chaos on top of each other. Like everyone's talking over everyone. You're like, I can't hear you because this person's screaming behind me. But it was fun.
Are you in a phase in your life where you enjoy entertaining in your home? Why or why not?
Yes. So last year, one of my goals was to have more parties. And I did. I love to cook. I think that what happens is because I don't want to just like throw it together, I want it to be thoughtful and delicious.
Yeah.
You know, so if I do Italian night, I mean, it just takes me forever to make the sauce and the meatballs. And then I'm like, it's not like I'm not going to make the pasta at this point.
Yeah,
you know,
no.
I'm like, I'm going to buy that. But I love having people over. I find that I'm not able to relax. So I think this year I've said that I'm going to have these parties and then I'm going to relax. I'm not going to be puttering around and, you know, cleaning. I like to clean as I'm, and, you know, I find that to be off-putting when you're a guest.
Right.
And the person's, they're like, okay, you're trying to get me out of here. So I'm working on that. But yes, I do love having people over, especially like multiple families. The kids are running around. And, you know, here, the summertime, and you can be outside until like 9:30. It's still light out. It's fun.
Do you have one or two top resources, books, websites, podcasts, courses, or anything? It doesn't have to be related to interior design. It could be about, you know, any of your favorites.
Well, I told you about Queer Eye.
Yeah.
That's for like if you just want to zone out and look at beautiful men.
Okay.
Beautiful gay men. You're like the chef. But I also love what they do, like their messages and how they help people. I'm like, that's like just a beautiful, I just love it. And it's, so for research, for interior design, I feel like Instagram is amazing. It's like the best. So Instagram, then it kind of takes you down like this dark, you can just keep going and going and going. I used to use Pinterest. I don't really use that as often because now it's kind of like a ton of advertisements. I love First Dibs. It's basically a website where you can have a piece of different shops and vendors from all around the world. It's kind of like an Etsy, but elevated, way more elevated. So I love Etsy for like the small shops, and I mean you can find everything there: jewelry, tile. If you want like a seat cushion made for a fraction of the cost, some woman in Poland makes it for you, and you're like, this is amazing. Yeah. So I like that it kind of makes you feel not so far away from all of these different artists and artisans. And so those are kind of my favorite. Okay, great. Yeah. Last question, what do you do for yourself? You have a very busy life with Hudson and Bloom, your children, your husband, everything. Do you have a practice, a focus, a habit, or daily routine that contributes to your success or your well-being? I would love to tell you that I meditate. I meditate. I drink my green juice in the morning. No, I'm a Tasmanian devil. I married a very focused, ritualistic Zen master. I am not that. I work out. I'll go to the gym. In those days, I feel amazing. You would think that I would do it every day, because why not? Like, you felt amazing. But then I also, like, really cherish that sleep. Yes. I'm like, my window of opportunity to work out is from 5:30. You know, I don't want to go at 5:30 in the morning. Yeah. But I would say my biggest, you know, when I do get to work out, those days are great. And then, you know, on the weekends, it's either hiking or we'll go skiing. It's like getting outside. Yeah. You have to get outside. Yeah. Because otherwise, I mean, you go crazy. So I think getting outside and then, you know, just being my true Tasmanian self, that's just kind of how I operate. But I know that I should meditate.
I don't think it's for everyone. Also, somebody has said, or I've heard somewhere, meditation doesn't have to be this like traditional meditation that you think about in your mind. Like if you're going for a walk, that could be meditation.
Yes.
It doesn't, it's just like a sense of mindfulness. I mean, I've had guests say like their thing is not having a thing. Like every day is different.
Every day
they take it as it comes.
Yep.
I think the reason I ask this question is that different things work for different people.
Mhm.
And I think it's good for people to hear that there are so many ways to take care of yourself. And the most important thing is to be true to you and like, is it working? I mean, that's the question. Like if it's working.
No. Is it working? That's the problem. Ashley, I'm like, it works for me.
Yeah.
And, my team, I tell them all the time, I'm so sorry. I know I seem chaotic, but it's organized chaos. And, everyone can do better, right? At the end of the day, like I can do better. I can try that. I'm not as open as I would say like my husband, like he will learn to play piano at 44 years old. And he's like, and I'm like, that's amazing. He practices every day.
Yeah.
That works for him.
Yeah.
It does not work for me.
Yeah, you got to stick to what works for you. Yeah.
Right.
Well, thank you for coming, Jennelle. It's been so fun talking with you. And when my house is done, we will share some pictures as well. It has been a labor of love, and we're getting there. This is the year. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you. If you enjoyed the show, please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you're listening. It helps us reach more people who just might need these conversations. If you have ideas for future guests or have feedback, you can reach out to us by visiting onthetablewithashley.com, linked in the show notes. On the Table with Ashley is presented by our elevated everyday home brand, Amatond, which you can find at amatond.com. That's AMEATENDRE.com. You can follow